The first slide here is the methodology. We conducted and completed 600 randomly selected Long Beach Community College District registered voters who have histories of voting in 2016. We also, since you have an interest in looking at the 2016 June election, a number of the results we're going to show both November and June levels of support for your bond and different bond amounts. The interviews were conducted via landline and cell phones. English, every respondent was given the opportunity to do the interview in Spanish or English. All right, the first slide here is, first couple slides, a couple questions about kind of awareness. Are these accurate or inaccurate statements about the college? And what we're trying to do here is just get a better feel for what your voters understand and how much they follow and their overall perceptions about the college and how you're operating. So the first one here, the 43% here is on a very accurate, because of the changing economy, classrooms and labs must be upgraded to provide students with access to the latest advances in computer technology. Basically, we're just trying to see, do voters understand that in this 21st century, we need new computers, we need to update them. And you can see the results to the far right. 75% said that was accurate, 16% said that was inaccurate. So a very strong perception that the computers and technology's advances are clearly needed in this day and age. Next one, Long Beach partners with Long Beach Unified to create an affordable pathway to college. The partnership that you have with the K through 12 schools, you can see there's a strong recognition of that partnership. 70% say that's accurate, 9% inaccurate. College district is well run and serves our community needs. Not only do they recognize the partnership you have with the schools, but generally you're running a well-run operation. 73-11. This is one of the highest we've had for community colleges. Same question, a little lower percent on accurate here. Classes at Long Beach are so crowded that some students are not able to meet requirements to graduate, transfer, get credentialed. 58-11. You can see the far right-hand, kind of the gray, the 31, just don't know. So if you decide to put this on the ballot, there is some need for some public education that needs to communicate some of these perceptions that we find there are a good third or so don't know in some of these issues. Long Beach College District is fiscally responsible and uses taxpayer dollars effectively and efficiently. 54-17. Most all of these questions, you can see the reds, which are more negative, are inaccurate, are very low on all of these. So it's rare to see these days that anyone thinks any jurisdiction manages money properly, but you have clearly got a 54-17% margin on that. Current leaders at Long Beach City College have made significant reforms to improve the college and better serve our needs. 50%. Again, all of these are pretty good. The next one, honest. Officials here are honest, keep their promise, and deliver results to the community. All good, strong, pro comments that are going to underscore what we'll see here in the level of support for your bond measure. One of the questions that we ask in all of these finance measures is pretty basic, simple question of, do voters think you need additional dollars? And how much need is there? So 36% said there was a great need for additional dollars. 30% some need, a total of 2/3. You're going to see this 66%, 66%, pretty similar numbers throughout this survey. This is one of the forerunners. If your voters don't think you need additional dollars to help run the college, then it's going to be difficult to get them to support any kind of bond or any kind of funding measures. So this is a pretty important question right off the bat. little need is 8, and you can see only 10% see there's no real need for additional dollars there. So there's a general perception that you need additional dollars just to generally to run the college. I'm sure everybody can't read this, but this is just takes the great and some need, the second column over, and just shows the level of perception by demographic group. So on the left-hand side, you'll see men and women moving across. 68% of the men think you need or have a great or some need for additional dollars. Same percentage for women. Democrats, independents, a little higher than Republicans. Younger voters, who are going to be one of the important turnout groups here in this coming election, they have a very clear sense that you need additional dollars here. Older voters, 65 plus, a little less. Latinos, African Americans, most all by ethnicity, understand the need for additional dollars. Homeowners, renters a little more. Again, we want to see in these kinds of elections, younger voters, renters, minority voters are going to be the backbone of the level of support. So it's good that they understand the sense of need for additional dollars there. We tested a draft language of title and summary of a measure that kind of would replicate if you put something like this on the ballot, this is what voters essentially would see. This, we attempt to, in the title, give a very clear sense of this is a repair, career education, student transfer measure for the community college. And as we kind of read this to respondents, our voters see it when they vote on this, we want them to read through this and have a very clear, specific sense of where this money is going. What are you going to be spending this money on? So from technology upgrades, earthquake safety, energy, water conservation. We tested for an $850 million bond. And then we attach as many words as we're legally allowed to communicate accountability. This requires a citizen oversight, independent audits, no money for administrator salaries or pensions, no personal offense to the administrators here, but as you know, Prop 39, this money goes to bricks and mortar kinds of expenditures. So we want voters to have a very clear sense of what this measure does, where the money goes, how much it is, and basically who's going to watch it. So your respondents' reaction to this ballot language, 60% either definitely or probably supported it. There's an undecided lean yes there of 5% that originally were undecided. We pushed the undecideds a little bit and asked them where they're leaning, so you get another 5%. So you're basically at a 65% level of support. You need 55% pass. You only have here 17% are definitely no. Again, throughout this survey, no matter how we ask the question, there are no real strong no's among your voters, whether they, only 10%, as you remember, said there was no real need for additional dollars here. Only 17% are definitely no. So it's a good, relatively strong 2-to-1 level of support at current. This is the June elected. Okay, this is the June results. I'm not showing November. November was a couple points higher. I think it's 68, 69%. But both June and November are pretty similar. Just kind of quickly, a couple demographics. Generally speaking, your support crossed all demographic groups in pretty similar ways. Men and women, there's usually a gender gap here. There is not. So the men and the women both support it at about 64, 66%. There are more women voting, the number 52% underneath women. Luckily, we have more women voting in all these elections. Women are usually a little more supportive, as they are here slightly. There is a slight generation gap. This is, by any election for these kinds of measures, it's important for the turnout. In June especially, these are June results. You're 18, starting from the left-hand side of the graph, 18 to 29-year-olds, 30 to 39, and 40 to 49, you can see anywhere from 71 to 80% support. It drops a little bit as one's age increases into the 58, 60%. Still good, strong results, but we do need, no matter what election you put this on, especially if it's June, we need a good, consistent turnout from our millennials and our younger voters. Ethnicity. All ethnic groups support this. African Americans at 9% of your voters in June, or at almost 90%. Latinos at 71 to 24. White voters, almost 2 to 1. Again, a good, strong turnout is going to be helpful here. Homeowners and renters, another example of strong support. 35% of your voters in June are renters. You can see renters, it's important for them to turn out to vote. They are 75 to 20. Homeowners, still a good percentage, over the 55%, but a little closer. And by trustee district, you can see support above the 55% for all districts. I've highlighted District 4 and 5, which have the highest percentage of voters in those districts. So those districts are a little lower in the level of support. So again, turnout across the board, but especially 2 and 3 would be very helpful. But again, you have support across all trustee districts. We also tested a couple of lower dollar amounts. So the results I just went through highlighted the $850 million. We also asked your voters if it was $750 million or $650 million. And in both of these situations, the support actually went down a couple points. You see you're at 65% overall. Statistically, a couple points lower. We're seeing voters today, especially among community colleges, voters want to give you the dollars you need to make the upgrades and the improvements to the college. If you give them a higher dollar amount, we rarely see voters, you can see the strong support for your measure. If we ask them to decrease the dollar amount that the college gets, we generally find either a consistent level of support or actually voters move here, like they do here, down a few points. So it's a way of testing the upper limit, so your 880 is a viable amount to go forward with your voters that they would support. The next couple graphs just kind of quickly illustrate. We also try to find, if a bond like this passed, what are your voters' priorities? And we're going to see 2 pages of about 20 or so individual expenditures that you're able to direct money to. And these were, when we were asked them over the phone, they were all rotated, so they were never asked in this order, but I've just ranked them in order of the highest, extremely, and very important to the far right-hand side. So improving educational resources for veterans, the top priority. 80% said that was extremely very important. You can see the red is almost non-existent. Veterans, helping veterans, returning veterans, whether they're educational resources. The next one, better preparing returning veterans for good paying jobs. A very bipartisan issue. We're seeing this throughout the state among the many community colleges that are on the ballot. And this is a very strong, we're doing the polling for the statewide bond that's on the ballot. This is a very strong desire by voters. Make sure the veterans have facilities, have programs as they're all coming home. And I just kind of going down the list, expanding partnerships with area employers. You have very strong partnerships with the school districts and your local small business community, which is very important to voters. Better preparing students to transfer, improving campus safety. Needless to say, these days, safety is a very strong issue, so expenditures on safety, you can see, are very strongly supported. And basic repairs, repairing deteriorating gas, electrical, and sewer lines, leaky roofs, asbestos, lead paint, anything that communicates upgrading, improving, water conservation, energy efficiency. All of these are very strong, important expenditures that you can direct your bond to. Second page, same question. Again, building new classrooms is at the bottom, even though it's 54%, say that's extremely very important. Voters are usually more interested in upgrading and repairing what you have as opposed to building new. That doesn't mean you don't build new, but I'm just trying to give you a priority here. Maintaining up-to-date technology to classrooms, science, technology, classrooms with lab. All of these you can see are either at your vote, extremely very important, or above it. Qualifying state matching funds. There will be a statewide measure on the ballot in November, and that should complement your measure. Actually, you're going to be on, if you were on the June ballot, it's going to be on the November ballot. So there is going to be a lot of information about that statewide bond, and matching funds is a very strong message for you to, if you put this on the ballot. I took all of these individual projects, and basically I'm just going to highlight the red here. These are June voters. June voters felt that they were extremely very important at very high numbers all the way down the list. And that's basically the difference between June voters and November voters here are pretty similar on the importance of where you're going to spend the money. Last couple slides here, we gave respondents some positive statements about a possible bond and asked if you heard this message, heard this statement about veterans, would you be convinced to support this measure, this $850 million bond? So the number you see to the right, 85% would be convinced to vote for this bond if they heard what you're going to do for veterans. Okay, now you have 65% support, so there is a good 20% here in many of these messages that are actually supported by those who are opposing the measure. So veterans, affordable, every time we're in the middle of a presidential campaign and every time the issue of how expensive it is to go to college, whether it's on the Democrat or Republican side, it's a message for you and your voters to support more affordable colleges, and this is a very, very strong message these days in the middle of this political debate we are of the affordability of getting kids through college in community colleges. The promise message was also very strong. Your partnership with the UCs, the promise of high school graduate students otherwise cannot afford it, moving through your community college. Career, here's a place where you labs and equipment for career education programs, train local police officers, firefighters, other occupations in demand, health services. This is where you train for careers and vocational jobs. 80% would be more convinced to vote for this measure. Efficiency, you're improving as you're upgrading and repairing, you're improving the energy efficiency, the water conservation. Basic, we're in a drought. Reducing the irrigation to reduce water use. These are very important upgrades and repairs. And the last one is repair, just basic repair. Again, all of these are clearly above your vote. These are convincing statements, convincing messages to support a measure like this. And the last one is accountability. Not only are you going to use this money for many of the updates and repairs, but it's going to be spent as promised. It goes to the classrooms, it goes to the buildings, it stays in the community college system. Your small business partnerships, also a strong message. Even your aquatic center, usually aquatic centers don't test very well as messages, but 66% above your 2 or 3% or above your vote, the aquatic center is important here. It's a convincing message to support this measure. Okay, that's a quick summary. After the respondents in this survey heard these kinds of messages, their support went up to around 68%. from the 65%. Not a huge increase, but solidified support. So the more your voters understand about how you're spending the money, what you're going to spend it on,
Okay, but can I ask?
support increases a little bit. Any question?
Questions from the board? Trustee
Trustee-
Baxter?
Yes, hi. I represent District 5, and before I ask you my questions, just so you know my background, I was involved in both other bond measures, because I've been around for a long time, and gave my heart and soul into both, and was very pleased when they were passed. As the representative of Area 5, which has the most high-propensity voters in the entire city, more people vote in District 5 than in any other district in the city. Your survey asked approximately 200 people, and if you add Mr. Otto's district, it's 600 people, 400 people. I'd like to know the zip codes of the people that you contacted in District 5. And I asked this question ahead of time.
I actually have those for you.
Well, I know, because I asked them ahead of time, so I wouldn't blindside you.
I mean, I don't have them.
Oh, you don't have them with
I
you?
mean, I have them, but I can give them to you.
Okay.
We covered your district. Again, you're a third of the
Yeah.
sample. So you had 180 in the November election. You had 120 to 125. Or you had a very good 4 and 5 had the strongest, the highest sample. And I guarantee you those are spread out through your zip codes. And I will
Okay.
give you those zip codes.
All right, but you don't know what the percentage of each zip code was?
In each zip code,
Yeah,
I don't have that
okay,
right here, but I do have it in my briefcase.
okay. All right, thank you.
Trustee Baxter, I actually have the list, if you want me to read off all the zip codes and the counts by zip code.
Well, if you, maybe nobody else wants to know theirs, but I'm curious about mine.
Actually, I would like to.
All right, so hopefully you guys know your zip code, because I don't have the zip code by district, but zip code 90704, there were 10, 90712, 18, 90713, 36, 90755, 14, 90802, 54, 90803, 68, 90804, 42, 90805, 51, 90806, 32, 90807, 57, 90808, 69, 90810, 27, 90813, 26, 90814, 35, 90815, 61.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Dr. Baxter, you're currently at 58, so on election day, your district you're going to guarantee a 68% support, right?
I sure hope so. I'm going to work very, very hard to get it, but I am concerned because my district is a lot of older people.
Yes.
And also, were all these people in the survey, were they all high propensity voters?
They all are voters who have histories of voting in November for presidential, and they have histories for the June. They have past histories of voting in June presidential election.
Okay.
We do not take a respondent and ask them, are you likely to vote?
No.
And if they say yes, we take them. They have to be on a list of a list that they have past histories of voting in at least 4 out of the last 5 elections.
That's what I want to know. Okay, thank you.
But we still want to work very hard on the turnout here, because you saw the generational turnout, minority voters, renters. We need a healthy turnout of those. And last November 14th, we had an abysmal turnout, which changed a lot of measures. So we want to. Nothing is easy these days to pass this. So we got to, even though you have good, strong numbers to start with, we got to work hard to get this passed.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from members of the board? Okay, hearing none, thank you very much for your presentation.
My pleasure.
Okay, good. And we are on to presentation number 2, agenda item 3.2, which is Long Beach Community College Athletics, a college success program. I think that Our athletic director is prepared to.
Yes, in keeping with our themes, our board meetings, we want to continue to highlight the various efforts we have ongoing around student success, and certainly our athletic program is primarily and will continue to be about student athletes with students first. And it is a wonderful program that supports student learning. So to introduce our speaker and our presentation, I just want to thank Randy Tutorp and his team for all they do on behalf of our student athletes, and give them a chance to tell us what's going on. And by the way, Randy, I will allow you to begin with a very important update on one of our coaches.
Thank you, members of the board, Board President Otto, and Superintendent President Oakley. As a former Viking student athlete, it is a real honor to represent Long Beach City College Athletics, and a privilege to be here today. I'm going to save my announcement for a little bit in the presentation, but thank you. Tonight is my goal to highlight the key components of our athletics program, our teams, the student athletes we serve, and the level of student success accomplished. I have also asked that a former student athlete join me tonight to provide some perspective on their experience. So at Long Beach City College, we have 18 athletic teams. We have 8 fall programs, 2 that compete during the winter, and 8 more in the spring. I'm also excited to announce that as of next year, spring 2017, we will be officially sponsoring intercollegiate athletics, women's beach volleyball as an addition. So next year we'll have 19 programs. I think it's important to get an idea of who we compete with and the surrounding community colleges. So our conference competition is made up within the South Coast Conference. As you can see, we have Cerritos, El Camino Compton, East Los Angeles, El Camino College, ourselves, Los Angeles Harbor, Los Angeles Southwest, Los Angeles Trade Tech, Mount San Antonio, and Pasadena currently. For the 16-17 year, we will be bringing in Rio Hondo and Chaffey officially as new member colleges into the South Coast Conference. So again, one of my goals tonight is to create an understanding of who our student athletes are and what it is that they do. So student athletes are enrolled in 12 and 18 units actively each semester. 9 of the 12 must be academic or transferable units. The new legislation has put forward that our student athletes must pass 6 units per term. For continuing athletic participation, they're going to need 24 total units completed before their second year of competition. Additionally, there's a mandate that all student athletes maintain a 2.0 cumulative GPA. Something not new to us, but newer to other students. All student athletes have mandatory student education plans before they can compete. And so you can see October 15th, all fall students must have a student education plan, a complete comprehensive student education plan on file, and spring students by March 1st. And additionally, as you look at what a student athlete is involved with, you can imagine about 1 to 3 athletic contests per week, somewhere between 10 to 20 hours of practice and competition each week. So of our 18 programs, you can see that we have a total of 445 actual participants. Our student athlete count that compete is a total of 405. So that means we have 40 student athletes that are multi-sport athletes, so participating in various two-sport combinations. Consistently, you see cross country, track and field, water polo, swim, those types of sports. And again, 201 new student athletes. So who are our student athletes? You can see here we serve 2/3 of the Long Beach City College student athletes are male. 2 out of 3 student athletes are Hispanic or African American. While Hispanic students are underrepresented among the athlete group, compared to the general population, African American and white students are overrepresented. You'll see that on our next slide. So here you see our student athletes represent 20% Asian, 43% Hispanic, Latino, 26% African American, and 7% white. How do LBCC student athletes perform in their studies? In collaboration with institutional research, we focused on first-time student athletes and first-time general population students in the 2012-2013 school year, and students who earned at least 6 units in attempted math or English. These student cohorts were tracked for 6 semesters from 2012 to 2015. In considering GPA for this cohort, student athletes in the general population actually maintain a similar GPA at 2.36 cumulative. Student athletes are attempting more units than other students, as is seen in this slide. So over their 6-semester period, 65.8 total units attempted versus 55.2 units attempted. Additionally, more student athletes are completing transfer units and completing transfer math and English than other students. Student athletes outperformed other students on key outcomes. While athletes are attempting more units, they are also completing degrees or transferring at higher rates than other students. 10% of student athletes compared to 4% of general population students earned associate's degrees, while 31% of athletes and only 19% of the general student group transferred to university. So a majority of our student athletes transfer to CSU or a private out-of-state university, as seen in our charts here. The breakdown, 43% of transferring student athletes are going to a private or out-of-state university. 45% of transferring student athletes are going to CSU. You can see our partner with Cal State Long Beach, 60% are going to CSULB.